The shot hit my bowels and also my lungs. So this is when my family decided, to come over, and I met a coyote, and that coyote crossed me across the board, and that coyote also proposed to smuggle 5 trips in exchange for bringing in my wife and my kids. They're threatening me that if I go back ever to Mexico, they will kill me. So
he applied for this parole, and this parole is granted. Then ICE has a detainer on him, and we will be handing him directly over to ICE, who will then be transporting him back to Mexico, I would imagine, is their intent. Knowing that, does he still want to go through with this parole hearing?
The question just posed could be a life and death answer depending on what he says. You see, this man, he claims that he was blackmailed into transporting these narcotics for the cartel that smuggled him over into the US. He is telling the parole board, if you parole me and I go back to Mexico, they will kill me. So the Louisiana Parole Board, the former sheriff, he is asking a very poignant question, saying, are you sure you want to get paroled? Your full term date is 2034. You can sit around if you truly are in fear for your life. Now let's jump into this hearing and I'll unpack it at the end.
Okay.
All right. So let's begin.
iniciemos.
Today we have for parole consideration DOC number 772894, who is a first felony offender who was convicted of possession with intent to distribute cocaine, 25 pounds, and on September 28th, 22, was sentenced to serve 12 years hard labor in Iberville Parish, right? He has a parole eligible date of February 28th, 25, a good time date of 1/26/26, and a full term date of March 1st, 34. So now we're at a point where he gets to explain to us what he did to get in trouble and why does he think now is a good time for us to release him.
Sí, yo puedo hablar.
May I speak now?
Sí. Ajá. Sí, el problema fue cuando yo me vine en el 2001 de México, por problemas en México. Me dedicaba yo al ganado, a la compra y venta de becerros, vendía y todo eso, pero allá los narcos o la maña, como le decimos nosotros, amenazó a mis amigos, mató a algunos compañeros ganaderos, nos empezaron a pedir dinero, me balacearon 5 veces, solo tengo un riñón, tengo mis tripas de hule, mi pulmón me lo cortaron. Ajá.
Yes, I would like to explain that I used to live in Mexico. I used to be engaged in dealing with the cattle and raising and selling cattle. That people in dealing with narco traffic, drug dealers, they start threatening my friends. They kill some of them, and they start in blackmailing the cattle raisers. So I got shot. I only have one kidney. Continúe.
Sí, también tengo mis tripas de hule, el pulmón me lo cortaron, dilaté un año en silla de ruedas, haciendo del baño por aquí, por un lado. Y entonces después mi familia decidió que me viniera y me vine. Conocí el coyote que me pasó y ese coyote me indució a traer esa droga a mí a cambio de pasar a mi mujer y a mis hijos. Me dijo que le trajera 5 viajes a Nueva Orleans, 5 vueltas, y que él me iba a pasar a mis 3 hijos y mi mujer. Pero él siempre me dijo que lo que estaba en el carro era marihuana, yo nunca supe que era cocaína, ellos me decían era marihuana. Okay.
Yes, so I got shot. Uh, the shot hit my bowels and also my lungs. So this is when my family decided, to come over, and I met a coyote, and that coyote crossed me across the board, and that coyote also proposed to smuggle some drugs, 5 trips in exchange for bringing in my wife and my kids. So the deal was for 5 trips, and he always stated that the drug in the car was marijuana. I never knew. I never was aware that it was cocaine. Continúe.
Y solo había venido 2 veces. Con esa vez eran 2 veces ya que venía yo. Solo yo llegaba a ciertas gasolinerías donde me decían, iba un tipo y me quitaba el carro y me dejaba ahí. Y ya una hora pasaba y ya me daban el carro y yo me regresaba. Pero fue por eso y siempre yo creí que era marihuana y yo dije, no es, me decían a mí que la marihuana no era tanto delito y se me hizo fácil por mi familia. Y ahora tengo problemas en México. Allá tengo la muerte segura si yo vuelvo para allá.
And so this was my second trip, the second time that I arrived. I I was supposed to arrive to a gas station, and once there was a guy, and he took the car, and he just left me there. And 1 hour later, I will get the car back. But all the time, I did believe that it was marijuana, because this is what they said. And they said that marijuana was not a big crime. So it was easy for me, because I was thinking of my family, and I'm having trouble in getting back to Mexico, because if I go back, they will kill me. Continúe.
Y ahora la mujer que tenía, la madre de mis hijos, de unos, porque tuve 2 mujeres, una de ellas se juntó con ellos, ahora vive con ellos. Tengo 3 hijos con ella. Mi niño mayor tiene 15 años ya. Mi familia me manda, me dicen que ya los niños andan hasta con cuernos, el chivo acá 47, R15. Y la mujer pertenece a un grupo delictivo, es un grupo grande de gente armada. Y me amenaza que si vuelvo, que me van a matar y que lo mejor es que no vuelva nunca. Y ya no sé ni qué hacer.
Um, the woman, the mother of my children, I had 2 children with her. We broke up, and now she lives with them. And I have 3 children, and my older child is 15 years old, and she joined. Uh, she is now a member of a gang. She's living now with a guy that is called Cartel, and she belongs to a gang. And people are people, and they're threatening that if I go back ever to Mexico, they will kill me. So you better not come back. And so I don't know what to do.
And then
Sí, de lo que le digo que me pasó en México, yo tengo pruebas, en México tengo todos los paquetes de radiografías, de todo lo que gasté en el doctor, gasté muchísimo dinero. 2 veces me dejaron por muerto y tengo todas las pruebas, yo tengo mis heridas, tengo un riñón y tengo todos los balazos, tengo como 12 balazos tengo en mi cuerpo, en las piernas, y me dejaron por muerto y es por eso que sí temo un poco ir a México yo, porque sé lo que es un peligro para mí, pero sí quisiera pues que me ayuden, me perdonen de alguna manera lo que hice. Yo acepto mi error, porque siempre lo hice Yo lo quise hacer.
And what happened in Mexico, I have full evidence of everything that happened in Mexico. I have, the imaging evidence. I have evidence of everything I spent in my medical treatments with the doctor. Uh, I they believe uh, I was left dead 2 times. They believe that they had killed me, and that happened 2 times. And I have evidence of everything. I have my wounds. I have one kidney. I have the gunshots over my body, my legs, and 12. I got 12 bullets in my and they believe that I was dead, and that happened twice. So this is why I'm afraid of going back to Mexico, because I know that this will be a deadly danger for me. So I plead for your help. I plead for your pardon. I know what I did, and I do accept my mistake.
Thank you. Just let him know that we're not the ICE people who determine whether he gets deported or not deported. We're the parole board that just determines whether he gets released from our custody for the crime or not.
Muy bien, gracias. Nosotros, quiero que sepa que nosotros no somos ICE, nosotros no somos quien determinamos a quién deportar o no, somos simplemente una junta de libertad condicional que determina si hay que liberarlo de la custodia por un crimen o no.
Okay.
All right. Okay, the next we'd ask the jail staff if they have any comments or information that would help us regarding Mr. Garcia.
Sir, my name is Lieutenant Townsend. I'm with Chattahoochee Correctional. We have received Mr. Garcia on October the 12th of 22, and we have not had no problems with him since he's been here. He stays to himself, he's quiet, he stays out of trouble, reserved, laid back, he doesn't bother nobody, doesn't bounce from dorm to dorm like most inmates do. He has stayed out of trouble and just kept to himself, so we have no issues here.
Well, thank you for your input. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
May I translate? Buenas tardes, buenos días. Mi nombre es la teniente Townsend. Estoy con el Correctional Categoric y tenemos al señor García desde el 12 de octubre del 2022 y no hemos tenido ningún tipo de problema con él desde que él ha estado acá. Él es una persona callada, no se mete en problemas, es tranquila, no molesta a nadie, no anda de celda en celda como la mayoría de los reclusos. Él se ha mantenido fuera de problemas. Él es una persona callada, sin problemas para nada, y
I'm on the call right
agradecemos.
now.
All right.
Okay.
All right, the next thing is we would take people in support and people in opposition to testify, but we have no one here to testify in support or in opposition today. But we do have opposition from law enforcement. The judge had no comment. The district attorney's office hasn't responded to the request yet. However, the sheriff is opposed, saying not enough time has been served. And the attorney general is opposed, saying he had the intent to distribute the drugs.
Okay.
His case has been assigned to Mr. Prater as the lead agent. So Mr. Prater is now gonna take over and ask any questions.
Bien, el caso ha sido asignado al señor Prater y es el agente principal. Ahora va a hablar y hacer preguntas.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, did you apply for this parole?
Señor García, ¿usted aplicó para esta solicitud de libertad condicional para el parol?
No sé, creo que sí, o es que no estoy enterado, solo sé de esto.
I believe so. I'm not fully aware, but only about this.
Okay. If he applied for this parole and this parole is granted, then ICE has a detainer on him and we will be handing him directly over to ICE, who will then be transporting him back to Mexico, I would imagine, is their intent. Knowing that, does he still want to go through with this parole hearing?
Si usted aplicó para esta solicitud de libertad condicional y se le otorga, entonces ICE lo va a detener, lo vamos a entregar directamente a ICE, quienes lo van a transportar a México. Me imagino yo de que esa es la intención. Y mi pregunta es, ¿usted quiere continuar con esta audiencia de parol?
No, yo creo que yo me gustaría, si no puedo quedar aquí y me entregan con ICE, pues yo lo que quiero es salir. Y pues también a mí el juez desde un principio, mi abogado me dijo que me iban a dar clases para salir más o menos en estas fechas, pero solo he recibido una clase de DOC. Mis compañeros recibieron más, pero a mí ya no me han dado más.
¿Podría por favor repetir nuevamente que no le comprendí muy bien?
Pues sí, de que yo lo que, o sea, seguir con el caso así, no, yo quiero, si me dan la libertad y me entregan a migración, es bueno para ir a México ya, pero no sé cuándo va a ser eso. Y si no, pues que me den mis clases, como me dijo el juez desde un principio, de Dios sí. Solo me han dado una clase de 2 meses y medio y ya no me dieron más, no sé qué pasó ahí.
Yes, if I continue with this case and I got released and handing me over to migration and going back to Mexico, well, that's good, but I don't know when will that happen. But otherwise, I would like to keep on with my classes, as the judge said, the DOC. I only got one class for 2.5 months, but they stopped that. So
We need a yes or a no. Does he want to continue with his parole hearing or not? Understanding that we are not protective custody, that's not our purpose. We try to get people out of jail that don't need to be in jail if they've served enough time. But if they don't want to parole out, then they have to serve their time. So I need to know, does he want to get out and be turned over to ICE or not before we proceed with this rest of this hearing?
sí, lo que yo quiero saber es que si ustedes necesitamos un sí o un no. Porque si usted desea continuar, la pregunta es, ¿usted desea continuar con esta audiencia o no? Quiero que comprenda que nosotros no vamos a darle custodia protegida porque no es nuestro propósito, sino más bien es sacar a aquellas personas que ya no necesitan estar en prisión si ya sirvieron suficiente tiempo. Y si usted dice que no quiere continuar, entonces usted seguiría en la cárcel. Entonces, y si usted sale de la cárcel, se lo vamos a entregar a ICE. Entonces, mi pregunta es, ¿usted desea que continuemos o no con esta audiencia?
Oh, sí, perdone, sí, al principio no entendí muy bien yo. No, sí, sí quiero continuar. Es que no entendí la palabra primero de continuar con la audiencia de momento, no había entendido yo. Pero sí, sí quiero continuar.
Yes, I would like to continue with these proceedings. At the beginning, I did not understand. I was not clear about the question. But yes, I want to continue.
Okay. You understand that if you are paroled today, having served about uh 4 years of your sentence, if you're paroled today, you will be turned over to ICE, and the condition of the parole will be that ICE returns you to Mexico.
Usted comprende que si nosotros le otorgamos la libertad condicional porque usted ha cumplido 4 años de su sentencia, si nosotros le otorgamos la libertad condicional, el parol, usted va a ser entregado a ICE. Y la condición del parol va a ser que ICE lo va a deportar a México. ¿Usted comprende esto?
Sí, sí, entiendo yo.
Yes, I understand.
You understand that if you ever come back to the United States, you will have to serve about 8 years on this sentence before you go serve any other sentence. Do you understand that?
Ahora, usted comprende que si usted vuelve a los Estados Unidos, va a tener que cumplir 8 años de la sentencia, esta sentencia, antes de servir alguna otra sentencia. ¿Usted comprende esto?
Sí, sí entiendo, yo sé de eso.
Yes, I understand. I'm aware of this.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's all. I'm prepared to vote myself unless you bring up some more questions we need to pursue. You're Ms. Stapleton.
No.
I have no questions.
Okay,
If we're-
it's okay. You need it.
The board is ready to vote and you're the first vote, so go ahead.
My vote is to grant. My vote is to grant this parole with the condition that ICE detainer and ICE detainer is completely legal and prepared and ready as it appears to be, and providing that ICE will accept him and providing that ICE will deport him out of the United States with the understanding that he not return to the United States. And if he does, he will serve the remainder of his sentence. With the understanding also for my vote that this is a nonviolent crime and that he has served a substantial amount, and it's time to put this behind us and get him out of the United States.
Ok. Entonces, si no había ninguna otra pregunta, procedemos a la votación. Yo soy el primer voto y mi votación es a favor que se otorgue el parol, que se otorgue la libertad condicional, con la condición de que ICE va a ser quien lo va a detener de una manera completamente legal, preparada y lista. Y si ICE lo acepta, entonces ICE lo va a deportar fuera de Estados Unidos con la condición de que él no regrese a Estados Unidos, y si regresa nuevamente a Estados Unidos va a tener que cumplir con el resto de su sentencia. Ese es mi voto, ¿verdad? Porque se trata de un delito no violento y que ha cumplido con una parte sustancial de su sentencia, y es momento para superar esto y que él salga de Estados Unidos.
Ms. Stapleton?
I concur with Mr. Prater.
And I concur with Mr. Prater for the same reasons. So that would mean that Mr. Garcia's parole is granted today to the ICE detainer with the conditions that Mr. Prater put on it. Can you let him know?
Entonces, yo concuerdo con el señor Prater, yo también concuerdo con él por las mismas razones, lo que significa que el parol La libertad condicional del señor García se otorga el día de hoy y se va a entregar a la detención de ICE con la condición que el señor Rever ha dicho.
All right, this concludes our business today at the Catahoula Correctional Center. Mr. Interpreter, thank you for helping us out. And Catahoula, thank you for helping us out. This will be adjourned at 10:45 a.m.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
Did we just see a man sign his own death warrant? I mean, there's two, I think, explanations for what we just saw. Either one, he was lying through the entire parole hearing. He didn't understand, right, what the hearing was. He just goes off by saying, if you deport me, they will kill me. Or two, he didn't understand that he was just signing his own death warrant. He just simply didn't understand that parole means that he is getting deported, which you get it? Like either he was lying and he realized, wait a minute, maybe I can get paroled, I'll get deported. This is great. I get out of prison. And for some reason he made up he fabricated this lie because he didn't understand the hearing, and then he realized through the process that just parole me, forget everything I made up. Or I mean, the interpreter didn't do. I don't speak Spanish, so you'll have to tell me in the comment section if the interpreter was doing a disservice. But it doesn't make sense, right? It is either he was lying, or he didn't understand that he just signed his own death sentence. And the parole board, in my opinion, they were going to not parole him had he, that was left in his hands. They would have said, you know what, your full term date, it's 9 years from now. That is a long time. He has a lot, he could wait for things to settle down. He has a lot of options if he actually is in fear for his life by simply staying in prison, not getting deported. I think that it's safe to say that a Louisiana prison cell is better than death by the cartels, right? It's confusing. And if you take the route that he was just lying the entire time, he thought that this was like an ICE, proceedings, and so he came up with this story. That just pisses me off, of course. And it's like I wanted to believe him. I'm listening to this hearing, and I'm thinking, wow, this, yeah, it does suck. I have my first world problems, but he's saying that he got his family over, he paid the meals, and they said, well, now you got to do this for us. And you hear these stories all the time. And in his mind, he's saying, look, I thought it was just, the devil's lettuce. I didn't think it was so bad. And turns out it was, it was 25 pounds of Pepsi, which the internet tells me can be worth $1 to $2.5 million street value. And oh man, but this entire hearing, it baffles me. It gives us some insight, though. The Louisiana Parole Board, the sheriff, the old sheriff Prater, they were not going to send them out. They were going to take his word for it. They were going to say, you know what, you might be a dealer, you might be, we don't know, but if your life is really at risk, we're not going to throw you to the wolves. You can sit here on taxpayer dollars in our prison system if you truly are afraid. They gave him that choice, and he said, now I take it back. Send me to the cartels. Maybe there's a third option. Maybe there's like he knows something that we don't know. Maybe he thinks that he has enough information and a good deportation attorney that will somehow prevent him from getting. But I doubt that. No, not today, right? Not today's day and age. Not this. I have no idea what's going on with this case. It baffles me. I hate getting lied to. I hate getting schemed. I hate getting tricked. And the only thing that I can think of is that he had me feeling bad for him. I'm a cattle herder, and then we had come across, and then they said, now you have to do this for me, and if you send me back, they'll kill me. My daughter's in the gang, and they'll kill me. And then it's like, well, sir, if we parole you, you're gonna get sent back. You sure you want to get paroled? Yes. Are you sure? Let's translate it again. Are you sure? Because you're gonna go back to Mexico. Oh yeah. Everything I just told you, not a big deal. God, it like, I guess what can you say? And now, what's really the risk? The risk is that if he comes back over the border and he gets caught, yeah, they will put him back in prison. He'll have to serve his full term. Um, if he's not in fear for his life, I mean, that's why not? I guess you're playing with house money in that case. And there's something else I want to bring up. We see this time and time again. I don't know what it is. I if I was locked up abroad in a different country, and I think that there'd be one thing that I would want to get out of it. It'd be hell, but I'd want to learn another language, and I would think that I could learn another language. And we see this, and I don't know what it is, but how many inmates go into U.S. prisons and years later still require an interpreter. Now, some I think use an interpreter as a strategic tool in the parole hearing. It gives you a few extra seconds to think about questions before you answer them. But many, I don't think I don't think he understood English actually. And you tell me if you think differently. And it's crazy to me because it's like you're just knowing the English language would, of course, improve his ability to earn for his family. Just I don't need to go through right with that's statistically proven, right? I don't. I'm not like how can you not? Are the prisons like that segregated? Where is it clicky? Where in Louisiana I'm talking about? He's in a Louisiana prison. Are you telling me that the only people he's hanging out with speak only Spanish? Maybe. I don't know. But even then, I think it's pretty crazy. It's just not something I understand. So wow, Mandoo, you're so naive. I don't think it's naive. It's more like just trying to. Uh, it's also it's like it's just a waste. It's like you want to give people programs. You want to give. It's like the best thing that they can do. The best and easiest, lowest hanging fruit would be to learn another language. And we see this in every state. We see this in every state. We see this in all the parole hearings, and it's always blown my mind. So I thought I would bring it up. I digress. I can look at Lady Holly's. Let's see, fact of the day. Um, and by the way, he was when did this happen? He was only busted in 2020. Let's see here, Lady Holly, 2022. He was caught, and he was in Texas, so going Texas to Louisiana doing that run. So don't spook the horses. Another peculiar regulation in this regard is a ban on spooking horses that are being ridden. This could be due to safety reasons, since startling a horse can create unpredictable situation, causing potential harm both for the rider and others nearby. A person operating a motor vehicle on a public highway and approaching a horse-drawn vehicle, a horse on which a person is riding, or livestock being driven on the highway shall exercise reasonable precaution to prevent frightening and to safeguard the animals and to ensure the safety of person riding or driving the animals. If the animals appear frightened, the person in control of the vehicle shall reduce its speed, and if requested by signal or otherwise, shall not proceed further toward the animals. So there's a law. I mean, it makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. I get it. I mean, who knows when they even put this law into place? Now, this is a good law. We see a lot of laws that don't make any sense. This law makes a lot of sense to me. I'm still shaken up about this hearing. I don't know why it bothers me. It really does. It really does. And you got to imagine that spending time in a Louisiana prison wouldn't be such a bad deal if the alternative was getting killed, right? And with that, I'll let you go.
The shot hit my bowels and also my lungs. So this is when my family decided, to come over, and I met a coyote, and that coyote crossed me across the board, and that coyote also proposed to smuggle socks 5 trips in exchange for bringing in my wife and my kids. They're threatening that if I go back ever to Mexico, they will kill me. So
He applied for this parole, and this parole is granted. Then ICE has a detainer on him, and we will be handing him directly over to ICE, who will then be transporting him back to Mexico, I would imagine, is their intent. Knowing that, does he still want to go through with this parole hearing?